Okay, let's go ahead and get started. I want to welcome everybody to our October Long Range Recovery Planning meeting. Okay, for those of you that don't know me, I am Commissioner Darryl. I am the chair of this committee meeting. And basically, what we've done is we've created a long-range recovery planning meeting to kind of monitor the county's role in the fire recovery process. We have now kind of taken a step back where we're in the phase 2 of the recovery, where we now have people come in as far as our staff, try to report out on a monthly basis of the recovery activity within the community. And we're really relying a lot more on our community partners to try to help us be our eyes and ears and let us know what's going on in the recovery process. So what we're going to do today is kind of go through some of our action items that I've assigned to certain individuals to report back. And at the end of the presentation, we will have an opportunity for some public comment. Do we have anybody that's going to provide that update as far as our citizen service support request? Okay. And as our speakers come up, I'm going to have them introduce themselves and explain their role in the recovery process.
Good evening, I'm Max Kirschbaum. I'm with Public Services Department. This isn't normally what I would brief, but our office that we created for fire recovery management has dwindled from 4 members down to 1 member. So I'm a fill-in sub. It's kind of consistent with what Commissioner Glenn said, as the county role begins to settle, that staffing also settled. So, and along those same lines, this is according to the agenda, just kind of a numerical report on the request for services by citizens through the website or other means. There have been a total of 123 requests for support since the beginning of August, when this tracking system went into effect. All have either been resolved or are still being resolved. None are unattended to. And there has been no new requests for any service since October 9th. So this maybe also is an indication that level of activity is also tapering off. That's all I have for that action item.
Okay. Thank you very much. Our next report item is from Regional Building and our Development Services. We'll start with Regional Building. Do we have a representative here?
That would be me. I am not Roger Lovell. He's in Mexico right now doing a trial run for the Baja 500, which we'll be doing later.
Oh, you're kidding. Wow.
I'm Mindy Stemke from Regional Building Department, and I've got some numbers that I ran this morning for the Black Forest fire burn area. As of this morning, we've had 201 demo debris permits issued. Those are the permits for the cleanup of the yard. We've had 259 permits issued for wrecking. That includes the cleanup of the yard and the removal of the foundation. 49 new permits have been issued for new homes. 4 of those are modulars on full basements. We've had 6 permits for mobile homes. The difference between that and a modular is the modular is on a full basement. It's going to be a permanent set. The temp sets on mobile homes are on block and ties. One of those permits has finaled. We've had 20 new garage permits, and 3 of those have finaled. The total number of permits in Black Forest Fire area is 788. So outside of those numbers that I've given you, the rest of them are things like meter sets to get the gas and the electric turned back on, new decks, a lot of decks were damaged, new electrical service. So 788 is the total. And almost 50 new single-family home permits. And, here's one other number I have. Right now we have 15 plans that are in the pending review process for new homes. So those will probably be permitted in the next 30 days or so. Thank you.
That is good news. Okay, Max Gebhardt.
Mark Gebhardt with the Development Services Department.
I'm drinking today.
Mirroring some of the regional buildings, our numbers were a little different for a couple of reasons. We're showing 71 single-family homes, which is actually, I believe, 72, and 6 mobile homes. But what often happens, the commissioners and the department created a modified site plan approval process that allows a single document to serve for 5 different permits that we issue. And sometimes that site plan comes to us.
I can't hear you back
Okay.
here.
Sometimes we've got a modified site plan process that has a single site plan that can serve multiple permits. And so our numbers are gonna differ from regional building, especially in that someone may bring a site plan to us under a simplified process and not start their building permit process with regional first. What we're really interested in hearing is how is that modified site plan process work? We've got several staff in our department that try to address Black Forest questions when they come up. We issue a separate type of permit number for Black Forest fire. And when someone has an issue, they contact us and we try to resolve that issue, and usually it can be resolved very easily. What we're also interested in hearing, and Kathy Andrews from Solid Waste, we feared at the start of this that a lot of people would be burying their ash and other things on properties. We just haven't seen that. We really appreciate how the residents of the area have followed those guidelines that the health department and solid waste and development services set up, because it seems to have worked very well. The commissioners also created some modified land use regulations. We made some modifications to that, which has allowed us to let people rebuild in a more expedient manner. Some be able to build back in the same place that you were, some allowances on setbacks to meet the standards to the greatest extent possible. So if there have been issues with that, we push a hearing, but we think we've been able to address those that have come up.
Thank you very much. We will now move to our infrastructure repair construction activity.
Okay, this is my area of work, so unlike the other one, I'm a little more knowledgeable on what we did here. These next 2 items on your agenda, this one and the one following, will discuss the work that is performed by our in-house highway crews, and then the county engineer in the next agenda item will present an overview of the capital and contract construction type work. So I have 2 slides, that's it. One that shows the type of work that we have performed in the Black Forest area over the month of October. The second slide will address what we intend to or plan to do for the month of November. And because October we did not have any catastrophic events like the previous 4 months all had, September, August, July, and going back to June, it allowed us a little bit of time to catch up on some of the work that we've been behind on since the fire. So here's a list of the main areas of focus. The top 2, Glider and Volmer, those were actual washout problems from storms in late August. Ditching. I said we would, if you were here a month ago, I said we would be putting continually more and more emphasis in this area, and we will do so. We did do more work in October than we had done in the past several months, getting back out to reestablishing ditches that are full, flushing out culvert pipes that are full. While that looks, to me, that looks like a good start, there's a lot more to go, and it's going to take us several more months to continue to work through. We'll work it through the winter and get as much of this knocked out before rainfalls come again late next summer, or whenever snow melts, if it's going to be a heavy winter for that matter. We did do a little bit of paint striping. We're essentially done with our striping program for the season. We're beginning to prepare the striper for winter storage at this point due to the need to have certain pavement temperatures in order to be effective with that program. We did do a little bit of additional mowing back in the north. If you were here a month ago, you also heard me say we have the resources basically to cut the county one time. We start in the northwest, work our way clockwise around the county and end up in the southwest part of the county, and that's where we're headed at this point. We have a little bit of capability to double back in some of the areas where either we know because of the heavy rain that we did have during that period that there was some additional growth beyond what we normally see, and there's a lot of tumbleweeds that need to be mowed up before they cause us a problem for the winter and snow and blowing snow and drifting. Depending on where you live, you might be familiar with I'll call it the 90-degree corner where Old Ranch becomes Milam heading north. We're mostly done with a sign upgrade to that corner. Once again, it's just a safety improvement, and it was not related to either fire or flood, but work that needs to be done. We did a pretty good job of catching up on some of our routine greater maintenance on gravel roads within the Black Forest area or the footprint of the fire. We bladed over 45 miles of road during the month of October. These were all, again, routine service requests, not anything in particular related to the fire or the flood. And depending on what happens with snow in the month of November, I hope it's going to be another catch-up month. We'll continue to work on ditches and culverts, specifically do some catch-up on customer service requests that have also lagged over the last several months. And we will begin, we actually have begun this week, crack sealing on asphalt roads, particularly those that are scheduled for a chip seal treatment in the 2014 asphalt season. So that work is now also underway and will be for the next 4 to 5 months. Any questions on our in-house support in the Black Forest area? Oh, there's a questions an hour later, I'm sorry. I might have broke protocol.
You
Is it
did.
later?
Yes.
It's later, sorry.
That way we can have some more time for questions and answer at the end. Okay, we will now move to our capital and maintenance projects.
Good evening, I'm Andre Bracken, County Engineer. My area of responsibility, I guess you'd say, with the Black Forest Fire Recovery has been primarily the public infrastructure, that being roads, bridges, drainage infrastructure, and looking at the needs there to bring that back to condition prior to the fire. But also what my engineers have been doing a lot of is coordinating with all the state and federal agencies to look for state and federal dollars to connect to the recovery effort. The two primary federal agencies we've been talking with and obtaining grants from, and those discussions are still going on, is, as you know, FEMA is probably the primary one, but also the Natural Resource Conservation Service. We have submitted a damage survey for them, and we've looked at all the values at risk from the fire, and we've just heard back from them on a first cut of their review of our submittal that we will definitely get some money out of Natural Resource Conservation Service for our efforts. And before I get into the slides, I guess my other primary area is we basically put together the programs for capital and maintenance for road and bridge year after year. And while one area is looking at maintenance of the road system and ensuring that what we have is maintained, we're also looking at capital programs and improvements to the road system. based on traffic issues and changes. So with that, the two areas I'm going to talk about is the ongoing capital and maintenance projects within the burn area, and then also some activity that we're looking at during the month of November. So this is actually the Casey Lane repair. And as you know, a lot of you may know that we had a large culvert completely blown out by storms back in August. And we have pretty much got this, well, it's open to traffic. We've got some concrete work left. That center photo there is indicative of some of the concrete work, but most of the work that's remaining is in the channel. This one should be done here in the next month or so. Shoup Road pipe replacement. Shoup Road, there's a low water crossing that has become more and more prevalent as we've seen more storms here in the recent 2 years. And this year we had a segment of time there from July through September where it seemed like the road was overtopping every other week. And so that is a picture of the existing pipe there. And what we need there is a battery of pipes about 3 times that size, and probably 5 of those in order to change that from a low water crossing to a protected, more of like a bridge type situation, so that we can be confident that we don't have a continuing overtopping situation there. That is still under design. We're hoping to get to engineer or construction on this, but at this point it's looking like we're probably going to need some of that disaster funding for this location. I'm thinking construction on this one will probably go into early 2014. Hodgson Road project, as one of the continuing projects, I'm proud to announce that we're going to be done with this project here next month. We've completed all the paving at this point, including the paving at the Meridian intersection. And so most of the work is basically right-of-way work. It's ditching, seeding, finalizing, striping, and signage, and all those kind of features. And I'm looking at probably the latter part of November to completely close out this project. And here's a few pictures of, on the left, of striping just west of Ulmer. And then at Meridian, the big part of that project was just east of Meridian Road on Hodgson. There was a very sharp and pronounced hill that restricted sight distance. The biggest part of the project, that intersection, was actually cutting down that hill to improve sight distance, so the turning movements were better protected, and we can basically see when you turn out there. One change I'm sure most of you have noticed if you go through this intersection is we took down the flashing light. The traffic there does not warrant any kind of a flashing signal, but we have improved the signage. We're basically replacing the signage with the improved reflective standards, larger stop signs, the intersection signage to warn of an intersection ahead, and so different features there at that intersection that are more warranted for the conditions that we'll have after construction. Black Forest Road, Burgess Road intersection rehab project. Officially, as of today, this project has been completed. We did a final walkthrough. We have some minor items left, some cleanup, some things that we're doing for some of the property owners and businesses. But this project basically came in at the real close to the engineer's estimate at about $1.5 million in construction. And we're just really glad to be done with this project and have our engineers move on to something else. This is a picture of the intersection before the improvements, and here it is after the improvements. But we still had paving in progress here, but some of the work going on. I did not have a completed project picture. I was having those done today, but I'm getting basically hearing a lot of good positive comments from folks driving the intersection now. Black Forest Road culverts just north of Black Forest and Shoup intersection. Just want to mention that we're still looking at doing some engineering on this. We've got a set of preliminary plans, and we have federal aid money connected to this project as well. This is one of great concern for us because of the failing culverts, and expect to get this construction next year as well. Natural Resource Conservation Service Emergency Watershed Protection. It's kind of a mouthful there, but we're expecting to get at least our estimates right now, and NRCS estimates, is about 1.7 million out of this program. That number is not finalized yet. That is what we heard back today from the NRCS office in Denver. And basically, probably the big item to mention here is that based on the values at risk, some of the private roads in the Black Forest that's in the burn area are being considered for NRCS funding. We will know more about the exact process on how to get at those funds for those properties in those neighborhoods soon, once we get the numbers finalized with NRCS. But essentially, it's a reimbursement type process. It's not a grant, but what it does, it offers federal aid money at 75% matching. We'll still have to come up with a 25% match. The county is still the sponsor of the program, but neighborhoods will be able to come to us with a plan for improving that private road. And the idea is to bring it up to the standard it was prior to the floods in the burn. The idea is not to bring it up fully to county standards, but to repair it to a point prior to the flood impacts. So maintenance activity or capital project activity coming up during the month of November, and I have a couple of really important slides here. Max Kirschbaum already covered these items, but I just think it's important to mention that there is still a lot of activity coming up, that you will see a lot of activity from our crews and contractors in Black Forest, in the burn area, doing any or all of these activities here. And a lot of this is just connected to the general maintenance requirements of roads and bridges, but it's also connected to recovery efforts. Hazard tree removal. This is probably the most significant item here in I guess the largest dollar value of the public assistance side that we work with FEMA on. It's roughly in the range of about $1 million effort here. It involves about 1,285 individual properties. It involves basically bringing on a contractor to remove hazard trees throughout the roadway right-of-way in all the burn area. So for any length of roadway, you have hazard trees that are either in the road right-of-way, in the Mountain View Electric easement, and possibly on private property, your properties that are just outside that Mountain View Electric easement on your side of the road. And essentially we're looking at, we bid the project. We'll be looking at reviewing the contracts or the bids coming in for this in the next week or so. We're going to hire basically an engineer to oversee the process to ensure that the trees that are going to be taken out meet the criteria that we've established. Obviously, we don't want to take out trees that we don't have to take out. It's only hazard trees. It's trees that, based on the Forest Service and FEMA and our observation, meet the specification as a hazard tree, one that has to be removed, one that we truly believe is going to fall at some point and be a hazard. We don't know the exact number of the trees, but we're thinking it's somewhere in the neighborhood of anywhere from 5,000 to 7,000 trees that have to be removed along the right-of-ways. A lot of coordination to put this together. Mountain View Electric Association, we have quite a few meetings with them. A lot of these trees are actually in those Mountain View Electric easements. We're going to have to gain approval from all those property owners, 1,285 property owners. So those of you who are in this area could very well see some paperwork come through the mail It basically notifying you of the need to do this and to get your, basically your permission, and you're okay with us doing this on your property if the contractor needs to get on your property.
How many miles of road do we have here?
We're going to hold those questions for you.
Let's see, that covers all my bullets there, but the important part is that you will see a contractor starting here probably toward the end of November, around the Thanksgiving time period. And right now, we have a deadline of January 26th to get all this work done. It's an impossible deadline, I can assure you, for a contractor. We're working with PINA to get that deadline extended, and I feel pretty confident we can do that, but that's the challenge facing us here in the next several months. And I will be around for questions later.
We're now going to move to our community volunteer activities. Tim Wolf.
Good evening, everyone. I am Tim Walker, Director of Community Services for El Paso County. I'm going to report on 4 different topics tonight. I scrambled to put it up on PowerPoint.
Speak slowly.
That's it, right? You're right on this. Next, 2 down, please. Right there. If you recall, last month, we had talked about the possibility of trying to keep open the slash mold facility in the Black Forest by contracting with a private vendor to do that. We're going to conduct a meeting tonight to get public input on that at 7:30, right after this meeting in this room. And so if you have interest in that, would like to give us some feedback on that, I'm glad to see a lot of the SAMCOM Board of Directors are here as well. I'm sure they'll be staying. We'd love to have you stay for that. And we'll kind of walk you through what our thoughts are, get some feedback from you, and then go to the next step on that. So if you have interest in that particular project, please stay with us after this meeting. That's great. The next slide, please. So we'll be meeting right here at 7:30. So please feel free to stick around, and we'd love to have your input on that. Go back. We've also had a question about the portable restrooms the county currently has been maintaining within the Black Forest area. We have 5 of those at this point. The cost is roughly $400 a month. We are fortunate to have Baldwin Demolition pick up the cost the last couple of months. During public comment section, we'd like to hear back from you. Is there still a need to have these in the Black Forest at this point? So if you could do that, or Kathy and I, Kathy Andrew, and we'll be around afterwards as well, please let us know your thoughts on that. We're not seeing a significant need for those from phone calls and comments, but there may be needs out there we're not aware of. So during your public comments or see us afterwards, we'd appreciate some feedback on that. If we don't see a significant need, obviously we'll ask the company to take those back. But if you give us some feedback on that, we would appreciate it. Same thought on the sandbagging. We haven't done a sandbagging event where we've given out the sandbags for a while. Not sure there's a need for that any longer either. Same comment there. If you, during the public comment section, if you give us some feedback on that too. Obviously, we can do another one of those events if there's a need for that. My assumption is there probably is not, but we'd like to hear from you on that as well. And then finally, for me, is the county park facilities update. I think I reported last month we were fortunate to receive a grant to restore the playground at Black Forest Regional Park. We are struggling with prepping that. It's a lot of hand work to take out the old 5-bar, the wood matting that's in there as well. We've had one major volunteer event. We thank Pine Creek High School for helping us with that. We could really use 2 more of these events at this point. Be like a 3 or 4 hours on a Saturday. So if you know of any groups out there looking to do some volunteer work within the Black Forest area, if they would contact me, I would appreciate that, and we can set up those times that they can do the volunteer work, and then we'll come back in and do the rest of the work on the playground itself. Kind of spread the word around. Eagle Scout projects, schools, churches, other groups that might have an interest. It's a good, solid project, and we can, once with that's completed, we'll reopen the playground there. I did want to report that we have opened up 5 more miles of trails into the Black Forest Regional Park. We're also taking out hazard trees along trails. Once those are done, we attempt to reopen those, and so pleased to report we have 5 more miles of trails open in Black Forest Regional Park. And then final comment for me, we have put together a burned assessment for all the Black Forest Park properties, both parks and open space. We're going to host a public meeting on Wednesday, November the 6th at the Black Forest Fire Station at 6:30. If you have any interest in that, we'd love to have you come and give us some feedback on that overall plan. Once again, Wednesday, November the 6th at 6:30 at the Black Forest Fire Station number 1. And we'll go over the plan with you. It's in draft form at this point. And then once we receive your comments, we'll be back to the Park Advisory Board. So appreciate if you come that night if you have some interest in the plan. Thank you.
All right, we will now move to our recovery workshops and mentor connection. My colleague here, Mike, are you?
It's up to you. Wanted to, Peggy Littleton, our Paso County Commissioner. We have had the opportunity to, with our mentor connections. I don't know, is Pat Orban here this evening? Pat, are you here? I don't know if she's here, and or Phil or Paul Helm. Paul and Pat are going to be taking over in January with our mentor connections. We've still continued to have between 75 and 150 people at each one of our mentor connection meetings, where we have fabulous folks such as Carla Price and others who are Waldo Canyon survivors that are coming to talk to all of those who are survivors of the Black Forest Fire and some of the flooding from Waldo Canyon as well, as far as insurance issues, what they do, how they do the collection of itemizing items in their homes, how do they do the inventory list, how do they work through, what do holidays look like. It has been a fantastic time, I think, to build relationships. Usually at 8:30, between 6:30 and 8:30, we have these meetings. We usually start off, we had the assessor there one time talking about assessment. We're probably in December or January going to be rolling into what does it look like for taxes for next year with a property that isn't there anymore. How that affects people's lives is something you really don't think about until it's upon you and you have to deal with it. It's fun because at 8:30 we literally have to shut the lights off and push people out the door and say you can talk in the parking lot now. But we want to thank the Pinery. The Pinery has been so gracious to allow us to have all of our meetings there has not charged any of the Black Forest Fire families or the county for utilization of their facility, and we're extremely grateful for their participation and heart that they have. Eddie Bracken, who is the head of Black Forest Fire Together, asked me to relay a couple of messages on his behalf. He couldn't be here this evening as far as what's coming up in the very near future. On the 4th, November the 4th, they're going to have a full-time case manager funded by VOAD for the Lutheran Family Services, and that's going to be out at the Black Forest Fire Station. And so the case manager will continue to work on some of those things as families come in and have time. They're going to be available to you. There's also going to be a Thanksgiving gift grocery card giveaway for Black Forest Fire survivor families, and they're coordinating that right now with all of the different churches to be able to, if any of you are interested, one of them I know is churchforallnations.org, has for $36 you can sponsor a Black Forest Fire family and be able to give a meal away to them. Either if they can pick it up at the church, it will be taken to them, or if you can actually personally sign up to say that you want to deliver the meal to the family as well. December the 14th, there's going to be a sit-down catered dinner for Christmas. And it'll be kind of a fun time to get together, to put on our joyful smiles out there for the folks who are the survivors for the Black Forest Fire families. So make sure and put that on your calendar, December the 14th. And there are also some very, very special Christmas ornaments that are being made that are going to be given away to our Black Forest Fire families that day. So kind of as a way to begin a new collection, if you will, and a new chapter and a new memory in their lives. So that's very exciting. We're going to, Santa and Mrs. Claus are going to be there that day on a fire truck. And they're going to have a lighting and a community tree, and the Pine Creek Choral Group will be there as well for this particular celebration. So hopefully everybody's going to put December the 14th down for their Mentor Connection, or for their sit-down catered dinner and kind of a fun Christmas celebration. November 19th at the Pinery will be our last Mentor Connection official meeting this year. So it's going to be November 19th, again at the Pinery, 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. Come on out. If you have friends who have not found out about it yet and you want to tell them, please have them come join us. It's a very non-threatening environment in which to get assistance and to leave there with help and lots of hugs. So I also have, for our other groups that I'm in charge of, I have Carla Price, who's going to talk to you about our insurance, what we've been doing and where we're going with insurance. And then Ekta Makuliar is going to talk about our small business.
Good evening, I'm Carla Hurd-Price. First of all, we really want to say thank you for allowing we and Waldo to come journey alongside you. And I think with everything that Peggy has said, we believe that the community is stronger together. With that said, the next Roadmap to Recovery will be on Thursday, the 7th of November. The Roadmap to Recovery and the Mentoring Connections Workshop have done kind of that hand in glove, so that you have a lot of opportunities to engage with what it is that is at the top of your list of that you must get done. With regard to the Roadmap to Recovery, it will be proof of loss. We will have builders there to determine how that looks for your insurance company. We also will always discuss inventory, as we've been doing very much at the Mentoring Connections. We will also be dealing with partial loss as well. So depending on where you all are in this journey, between the Mentoring Connections and between Roadmap to Recovery, we are here to make sure that you're undergirded with that in any way, shape, or form. Both Commissioner Littleton and Commissioner Glenn have my information, so if we can be of assistance to you further, we are always available to you.
My name is Ekta Markuder, I'm the Director of the Small Business Development Center, and thank you Commissioner Glenn and Commissioner Littleton for having us alongside with you as we go through the recovery process. Since the fire, we've been assisting businesses recover and prepare to move forward and be successful with their business. And what I'm here today is to report on what we found out statistics-wise and what we're doing moving forward to prepare businesses. So far, we have talked to about 500 small businesses that have been affected through the Black Forest fire. We've worked with the businesses to put through about 3 SBA loans to take care of physical or economic loss. And we know that so far that there's been 71 jobs lost through the small businesses that have been affected. And overall, it's a devastating figure, but there's a little over $56 million in economic and physical loss with the small businesses that were affected by the fire. So our work is going to continue throughout this year and well into next year and for as long as you need us. To help prepare the businesses, we have a number of consultants and team members. One of them is Liz Hirschberger, sitting towards the back, and we'll be here to answer any questions for you. But we've been consulting one-on-one with businesses, helping them recover and prepare for the future. And one way we're doing that is by holding a few events for the community. We just held a successful event about a month ago, and had about 25 businesses and community organizations there, and we talked about the insurance questions that businesses have had, flood insurance, business interruption insurance, and a number of other questions. We talked about mitigation for small businesses. We talked about moving forward with their financials. We covered a lot of topics. That event was a preview to something we're doing on November 14th, and we really want every business to attend that event. That event will be held at the Pinery on the Hill. Again, the Pinery's come through to support us in amazing ways.
Down here?
The Pinery on the Hill off of Bijou.
Okay.
We're working with our state SBDC office and the Pueblo office because they also have gone through quite a bit with the fires. down at the Royal Gorge area. So we're working together to provide a business protection summit, and what that's going to be is 5 panels of experts we've worked with through the SBA disaster program, and we have a couple of people here that I'll introduce to you, through FEMA. Yeah, and I'll show that to everyone. Insurance experts that we've worked with, NCRS, as we talked about before, Office of Emergency Management, you name it, they're going to be there. The cost is only $10 to you. Please pick this up to go. That cost will cover your lunch and your breakfast, and that's all we need to do. We want you to be there. We want you to come, learn about what you need to do moving forward for anything that could possibly happen to your business. Our program, the people that work on our program are very passionate about this, and we've learned a lot, and we want you to know what we know. So please attend this event if you can.
Tell them where the flyers are.
I've put all of our information on the back table, so you'll be able to find a list of our statistics, where we've been and what we've been doing. I could talk all day if any of you know me. So I won't do that. Our Protection Summit flyers on the back. And then also, we want to make sure you know about some upcoming deadlines. For Black Forest Fire small business victims, your economic injury loan deadline is May 14th of 2014. Our experience shows that a lot of people wait to the last minute to put in their loans for any economic injury loans that they may need. Come to us now, we can help you put those applications in. We can help you sort through all the paperwork you may need to submit. We're here to help you now, and it isn't a process that happens overnight. So come talk to us as soon as you know that you may need that help. Additionally, there is also SBA disaster loans available for those affected by flooding. Those that have been affected physically, that deadline is November 25th and was extended to November 25th. The original deadline was November 14th, so it's now November 25th. Economic injury loans from flooding is June 24th of next year. It's a lot to write down, so these are also in the back for you to take if you need them. Lastly, I just want to let everyone know that we have our counterparts with the SBA disaster program here, Sushil Kumar and Garth McDonald. They have been helping individuals and businesses throughout this recovery process, and also has a wealth of information on how to prepare for the future. They'll be at our summit, but they're here, and they can introduce themselves after. If you have any questions for them, please let them know. Thank you to FEMA for all of your help as well through this process. But we're here to help. If you have any questions about anything else we can do for your small business or small business you know about affected by the fire, please come see us.
My turn. No. Unless you're talking about the same subject. Nope. Okay.
I just wanted to say, Carla wouldn't say this, but, as a survivor of the Waldo Canyon fire, she and her husband just moved into their new house about a month ago. So life does move on, and things will get better.
Okay, we're going to go to our legislative.
Can I just interject something on the statement, because I'm Neil Shearer from Congressman Lamborn's office, and the congressman, just really wants to continue to help whatever we can. One thing that's absolutely critical, and the date on the extension, I was understanding it was November 14th, not the 25th, and it is critical, because if you don't register by that deadline, it's tough. So I just checked with the FEMA folks. Has it been extended to the 25th?
November 14th.
Okay.
SBA loans, November.
Let's clear, this is so critical, because this is what will affect our office, because if you miss a registration deadline and then need something, it's next to impossible to get approval unless it's some extremely extenuating circumstances, and I don't want to be, gee, we just didn't get the date right. That isn't going to work. So I want to clarify this date issue. This is most important here at the meeting, so please.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I'll address that real quickly. Because there's multiple declarations in the state going on right now, there is a little bit of confusion related to the declarations, because the Black Forest Fire declaration was the primary topic here. The deadline for physical damage loss was actually October 29th for physical damage loss for the Black Forest Fire. Now that's relative to the SBA's agency declaration for individuals, homeowners, renters, businesses of all sizes, private nonprofits. That's for specifically related to the Black Forest Fire incident. There, of course, the flood declaration, that's another large declaration that is also El Paso County, has been a primary county. There's an individual assistance deadline for physical damage of November 14th for homeowners, renters, businesses of all sizes, private nonprofits. Now, in addition, because of the public assistance declaration, public assistance, which is a lot of what's being discussed here with the roads and the municipalities, there are, in the counties, there's a deadline for private nonprofit organizations, exclusively to private nonprofits that had damage related to the public assistance declaration. It's only for private nonprofits, the ones that public assistance from FEMA cannot help because of the declaration because FEMA for the Black Forest Fire made a public assistance declaration for counties. And the deadline that you stated, November 25th, is strictly for the private nonprofits that aren't covered by FEMA's public assistance. So we have a myriad of deadlines. Now, I'm going to try not to confuse anybody any further, but for El Paso County, the Black Forest Fire, that there's small businesses and private nonprofits eligibility for economic injury disaster loans, and that was the
June 24th.
next year, the deadline of June 24th, 2014. So there's economic injury disaster loans that are extended into next year. Also, Manitou Springs flooding has an economic injury. Anybody impacted by those floods during that incident period, economic injury impact, they have until 2014 as well.
And one of the things, I stopped by the Black Forest Together office this afternoon and stopped and visited the FEMA office there, and there was some damage due to the incident, which was this rainstorm in September, that there's individual assistance, and there was an example of a private road in Black Forest that was washed out during that fire, or excuse me, during that rainstorm, that is eligible for individual assistance. And you need to get all of the property owners that have access to that private road, and there may be assistance, but you need to register with FEMA prior to the 14th of November so that you can be sure to get some assistance with that. And I wanted to make sure you didn't go in on the 20th. Well, I thought it was extended to the 20th. It is the 14th for individual assistance on this recent incident. And if that's the message Congressman wants to share with you, please get registered, and then FEMA and SBA can sort things out. But if you missed a registration date, that's going to be an issue, and you'll come to our office, and we're going to have our hands in our pockets and say, we can't help you. And now's the time to register with FEMA. They're in Black Forest. They're set up for this week. They're willing to talk with you, visit with you, so please go out to the fire station and get your questions answered you might have with FEMA and the registration, particularly for damage on this incident, which was September 13th through September 30th, the flooding. And there's probably some damage that because of the fire, but the damage was created during that incident, and you would be potentially eligible for individual assistance.
And what we'll make sure is there's a lot of information sent here.
Yeah.
And we'll make sure that it gets posted tonight with all the relative dates so that you can go online and make sure that you know exactly what was said here today is the information you get from our website with the dates and what you need to know.
And there's actually a spot on the agenda for FEMA. So,
Okay.
and there's going to be, right after this meeting and before the next meeting, there's going to be an opportunity for people to have individual questions for our FEMA representatives. So we do have that plan, but I do appreciate that. I
Okay.
understand.
Just to add one last thing.
Sure.
We have the specific dates and fact sheets for all of the different declarations right back here. If anyone wants to stop by and really see it in black and white, for the Manitou Springs flood, for of course the Black Forest fire, for the current Colorado severe storms and flooding, and the public assistance private nonprofit declaration. So anybody that is confused and wants to see that, we can go over that with you back here as well.
And I'll probably have you remind me and have you state that same thing again right before we adjourn, so that people can come see you. So thank you very much. And there are about 6 chairs up here, if anybody wants to come claim them. I know there's some people staying in the back, so don't be bashful if you want to come up and grab a chair. The next item is for legislative support. State Senator Kent Lambert is not here, but this is going to be an area where we're going to need to monitor going forward. I can tell you that from the county standpoint, we're always very concerned when we start having state-level discussions about regulating activities, whether it's dealing with fire codes, whether it's dealing with any particular land use items, and that it's going to apply a state-level standard. So we're going to be very actively monitoring this as a board. The one direction that we've given our delegation is, if at all possible, we want to always argue for local control. The best form of government is one that we really control and where our citizens can have direct input to. And we're really fighting against a statewide standard of one size fits all. So this is an area that in the next coming months, we're going to be providing you some information. It's going to be very critical that not only our board lobby, but also the individual citizens in the affected area, that you contact your representatives and make sure that you voice your concerns. Okay, now we will move to our financial resource assistance program, and we will start with our own staff representative here. Would you like the microphone? You back her.
Good evening. My name is Brian Olson. I'm with El Paso County Budget Administration. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what we've been busy doing. And as you can imagine, it's been a busy couple of years. We've had the Waldo Canyon fire, Black Forest fire. We've had flooding in July and August. We had the flood event in September. And we've had to manage a number of different incidents there that with both the state and the federal government. We have what you may have heard called an FMAG, which is a Fire Management Assistance Grant for both Waldo Canyon and for Black Forest. We're actually still working with Waldo Canyon with both the federal and the state government on those monies. We were working with, I think Black Forest is pretty much finalized and have submitted that paperwork to the state. Now we're also working with a PA for the September flooding event. And Mr. Bracken talked about, we have PAs for roads and bridges, PWs, which is a project worksheet, you may have heard that. Roads and bridges, signs, hazardous tree removals for both on the roadsides, individual properties, but also in our parks. We've lost some structures, our parks lost some structures and had some damage to structures. So we're in the process of trying to work with FEMA on getting reimbursement for that. With all these, with any kind of a government program, it's a 75-25% split. So it's great that they're going to pay for 75% of that, but we still have to come up with 25%, which after a lot of this damage, you can imagine it's significant. And so we're going to have our jobs cut out for us, and coming to the commissioners and talking about how to allocate those funds and where they're going to come from and how we'll get that done. Especially as we keep coming forward and finding new projects that Mr. Bracken talked about with NRCS, the EWP monies. Every one of those projects requires a 25% copay. I guess that's a good way to put it. So we got to have some skin in the game. Presently, we're actually working on putting together, it's a comprehensive presentation on the total costs of all of these emergencies. So Waldo Canyon, Black Forest, all the flooding split up, and what we'll be doing is we'll be presenting that to the Board of Commissioners, County Commissioners, and showing that, and at that point that'll be open for the public. But that is something that will be coming out here shortly. I guess I will add one more thing on FEMA that with the flooding, with the individual assistance that we didn't talk about is that it affects you is your private roads. And you know that people that have private roads can qualify for that assistance, but HOAs can also qualify for that too. So make sure if your HOA owns a road, that can qualify. I'm not saying it does, but it can qualify. So just I guess I'll just put that out there. I think that's about it. If there's any questions, I'll be around afterwards to talk.
Okay, now we're at the portion of the agenda for any of our nonprofit partners, whether Black Forest Together, Crosses for Losses, or any other. If you have any questions or requests for assistance that you would like our committee to address at this point in time. All right, seeing none, I will then move to a review of some upcoming recovery meetings, and this is where it's very important to take notes because we have some dates that we want to make sure that you're well aware of. As mentioned earlier, it already has started from October 29th through November 2nd. FEMA is going to be on site at the Disaster Survivor Assistance Team. Their team from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. at the Black Forest Fire Department, number 1, and that's 11445 Teach Out Road. It's very important if you want to be able to have an opportunity to meet with representatives to go to that. We wanted it, they've closed the one disaster assistance center down on Printers Parkway, but we also wanted to make sure we had an opportunity to have those individuals on site, so it makes it a little bit more convenient for people in the Black Forest burn area to be able to meet with the representatives. So they are going to be here through November 2nd, again from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. at the Black Forest Fire Station. As mentioned, on November 2nd, there's going to be a Black Forest Together Forest Symposium, and that's going to be at the Edith Wolford Elementary School, and that's from 10 to noon, so I encourage you to attend that. As mentioned, on November 7th, there's going to be a United Policyholder Workshop at the Woodman Valley Church, the East Campus, and that's from 6 to 8 p.m. November 14th, and I'm sure our FEMA representatives will foot stomp that a little bit later, that we want to make sure that's that deadline for individual flood assistance application deadline.
Parks one.
And the small business, there's going to be a small business summit on Thursday, November 14th. And where is that at? At the Pinery.
West on Bijou Street, they call it.
The Pinery on the Hill.
The Pinery on the Hill on Bijou Street. On November 19th, again, as mentioned, there will be another Mentoring Connection meeting at the Pinery from 6:30 to 8:30. Our next long-range, the November meeting, will be on November 20th. We typically meet the last week, but we're going to try to avoid the Thanksgiving week, so we will be meeting on November 20th. Same location right here from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. November 21st is a very important date. We are going to have, the Board of County Commissioners, we're going to have a work session talking about the fire codes. We finally have a date that we want to make sure that this is an issue that's, there's a lot of concern, passion on both sides of the aisle. So we're going to have a work session. Typically what happens during a work session, we allow essentially both sides to present to the board, to give us information. We will not be making any decisions on that day, but we're going to allow people, representatives from the fire district and also from the Housing Building Association to give us some information on that. And I do believe that my colleagues, we probably will allow for some individual comments too. That's typically, we do not have open discussions at that point in time, but there's just a lot of information and misinformation that's out there and just some concerns that we want to make sure that we provided a venue for people to be able to air those concerns. But we are actually on December 10th. That's the date that we are going to vote. And I want to emphasize that just because the fire districts have passed amendments, it would not be a correct assumption to assume that that means that we're going to automatically ratify those. We're going to have a hearing, and we're going to listen to all parties, and we may or may not adopt those particular proposed amendments. So I just want to make sure that just because the districts have adopted that does not mean that it's a rubber stamp for the Board of County Commissioners. So again, the 21st of November is a very important date, and that work session is going to be at 10:30. So November 21st at 10:30 in our Board of County Commissioners conference room downtown. And then November 10th, it's part of our normal board schedule, so I don't know where it is going to be on the agenda, but that will be the date that we actually vote on that particular issue.
December 10th.
December 10th, yes. Okay.
Don't forget the parks thing on the 6th.
I don't
It's not
have
on
that.
your list. It's the one that Mr. Wolken talked about.
Okay, I'm sure. What was the one on November 6th that you?
Wednesday, November the 6th is the burned area assessment report for county parks.
Okay.
That's the fire
6:30.
department.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Okay, we've made it through that. Any other announcements by any of our presenters before we move to public comment? Yes, sir.
I just wanted to introduce myself. John Bondurant. I'm a division supervisor for FEMA for El Paso County. And some of us met with the commissioners earlier, and they asked us to come by and be here to answer any questions that y'all may have. And we weren't quite sure what the venue is like. It's our first time to be here. And with the many different programs that FEMA brings to the table, I needed some subject matter experts to speak to any questions that y'all might have. And so we have a number of those here tonight. And so after the meeting's adjourned, I just want to make sure that you're aware that we will welcome any questions you may have, whether it be about insurance, individual assistance, or anything that the governor's talked about. And we also, if we have an individual here that is a survivor, was affected by the storm, we have people here that can sign you up and register you right here and now. Or if you've already signed up and want to find out what your status is, we have people who can take care of that. I wasn't sure how your agenda.
Well, what I'm going to do is right after public comment, I'm going to have you introduce your team. And that way everybody knows it's here. And then my goal is to be able to leave enough time so that individuals that have particular questions can talk to them before the selection mulch team. So
Thanks, sir.
you got to do your introduction again. Okay, now I will open it up to the audience for any questions that you may have for any of our presenters or anything on topic. Go right ahead.
I'm Jim DeWitt with Samco. I had a question for Mr. Bracken. With all the road projects, the shoulders that need erosion control, would you like some free mulch?
Sure.
There's lots.
Appreciate that comment. Yes.
I just wanted to make an announcement for Black Forest Crosses for Losses. The 28th of November, there will be a full traditional Thanksgiving dinner served for free. The space has been donated in the kitchen from the Black Forest Chapel. We are planning on our list filling up quicker than what we thought it is, but 320 people. So you can sign up and come to that, or if you want a turkey dinner for your family to take home, you have means of preparing that, that's also available. And one more, go to La Foret and help them out. They've got the haunted house going tonight, and then, of course, the festivities tomorrow and the haunted house going as well tomorrow, and that's a nonprofit that donated their services to help La Foret provide that this year.
That's fantastic. Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm Jim Riggins on the board of the nonprofits Southeast Colorado Renewable Energy Society. For those of you that attended one of our 2 all-day seminars on water and energy efficient reconstruction, thank you for coming by. For those of you not able to attend, we've put all of our slides on our website. secres.org, S-E-C-R-E-S, a wealth of information about the basics of energy and water efficient reconstruction and renewable energy, building energy codes, financial information, rebates and incentives, and some local case studies of high efficiency homes in the area. So secres.org. And if you have an HOA or a neighborhood meeting that you would like some of our individual subject matter experts to come by and speak on any of these subjects, or a mentor connection meeting, we're more than happy to send somebody by to give you a smaller group presentation. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Any other questions? Yes, sir?
Go ahead. Was there somebody else back there?
I didn't see it.
Oh, okay, good. I heard. Judy Von Ollefeld, I'm the owner of the Black Forest News, and I'm sort of the local piranha, I guess, on a lot of things. But a couple things I wanted to bring up. Regarding Mr. Wolken, I went over and took a copy of the assessment that I had critiqued for the burn assessment, and I had two comments on that, one of which concerns me a lot, and I'd like to ask the county to help with this. The map that's being used for the burn severity is the NRCS BARC map, which stands for Burned Area, something severity. Anyway, what it's done is it's done by the USDA Forest Service Remote Sensing Lab, and they have an algorithm that they use where they can set thresholds for burn severity depending on the reflectance that the computer measures from the remote sensing. And I'm concerned about the BARC map because when people look at that, I think most people think severe burn is black trees, moderate burn is scorched trees, and then there's unburned and green trees. Okay, but that's not how the BARC map sees it. And I gave Jason an example of, that showed an aerial photo that was in your report of Sylvan Meadows in the southeastern part of the Pine Ridge Ranch. And there's some big burn patches in Sylvan Meadows, but the BARC map shows it all as moderate to low. And because of that, I think there's issues with trying to accurately measure what you're trying to do with parks, especially because there's an 82% error factor anyway with BARC, just generally, but when you have little slivers and pieces, that could be highly magnified. So I would like to ask the county to try to get its hands on some aerial photography of the burn, good color aerial photos. It's not posted on Google yet, and I talked to the assessor and other people, and nobody seems to be able to get hold of this. But you really need that with some ground truthing, because the BARC map doesn't match up very well with what's really on the ground. If you look at that carefully, and people will be able to look at it Tuesday and say, wow, that doesn't look like what's around my house. So I think that needs to be looked at. Another thing that's concerning me is that FEMA has the hazard tree assessment standards, and I went to the meeting that they had with Mountain View and DOT, and I went on part of the field trip. And for the Parks report, the criteria of 25% green and the rest something else hazard, okay? Tree will die. But for the Parks report, it's been changed to 50%. So that's going to mean an awful lot of trees are going to come out. That's a very high standard on this. And it also flies in the face of waiting until next spring to see what fleshes out unless you can see it's obviously a hazard tree. But the report calls for like all trees that are hazard trees along trails should be removed with this criteria. And I think that's really problematic. So I think people need to look at this closely. It's a good report. Jason did a good job in a short time to pull all this stuff together, but I think it really is a draft and it needs to be looked at closely. So those are my comments. Also, the BMPs that we pulled together, many of you have seen the brochure, which is in its second training, maybe its third, because we need some more for Saturday. There is now 4 or 5 pages online of backup material for BMPs. There's an expanded list for NRCS and many other things. So I would encourage you to take a look at the blackforesttogether.org website and take a look at those. I put these together, and So they're kind of hand-selected, and I didn't get everything. We need to still add more, I'm sure. But it's a much bigger list, so if you're interested in the things on straw wattles, or straw bales, or doing cross veins, or how to evaluate scorched trees, and what's in the literature, other than just what's in the general stuff. This week's Black Forest News, I have pictures of seeds produced from cones from trees that are burned. You know, because the cones are up high enough, they still can have viable seed and grow. And also lateral buds sprouting, which pines aren't supposed to do, but you know, the pines are true black foresters and they don't follow the rules. So we have to be very careful about what agencies are telling us on broad scales that's based especially on multiple species, like lumping ponderosa and lodgepole together. They aren't the same, and we're on soil and we've had water. So things may be a little different, and we just don't know at this point.
Great, thank you very much. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Where can I find these websites that you're speaking of? I don't see any.
The Black Forest Together website is www.blackforesttogether, all spelled out, .org.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Judy.
Yeah, it's in the paper, it's been in that, but
I'm sure I saw
they've had
it.
problems getting that thing up and getting it updated, but it is up and running now.
Any other questions? Okay, could we have our FEMA team come forward? Come on, man. Bring all your friends and then they can introduce themselves and kind of...
First off, if it's all right, I'd like to ask Paul Eller to come up and join me. If y'all don't know Paul Eller, he's the regional field manager for the state, OEM, and he's been working side by side with FEMA and for some long days, for many days, and
I'll be back.
I just can't say enough about this guy. He's a go-getter, and he's looking out for the interest of your community. And when FEMA's gone from here, he's still going to be here. And so we're trying to support him any way we can. FEMA's mission here is to help the state, and he's our state representative. And so anything we can do to support him, that's what we're trying to do. And I've really enjoyed working with him because he really seems to have the community at heart. Okay. Some of the people that I have up here with me have come from all over the state, and I have not met them before right now. So I'm going to have to ask them to introduce themselves, and I'm going to ask them to do that. I'm going to ask them to tell what program that they work in, and a brief description of what that program does. Could you start, Oscar?
My name's Oscar Joseph. I'm with FEMA Individual Assistance, and as we were kind of alluding to, individual assistance is designed to help those folks who were affected by the flood. Again, you're going to hear this again and again. November 14th is the deadline for applying. Even if you've got insurance and you think you might be covered, we encourage you to apply anyway. You never know, something might have fallen through the cracks. And what we do, FEMA's program is just to make sure that your household is safe, sound, and functional. It's just a basic program. There are other programs to bring you up to par and up to snuff, and I'm not going to address those. That's SBA, it's not my bailiwick. But again, November 14th, 1-800-621-3362. If you got any questions at all about individual assistance, I can lay the groundwork for you. Your specific application, I really can't address that, but I will take your information, and I guarantee you will hear from us within 24 hours. Thank you.
My name is Susan Solomon. I'm a FEMA Public Information Officer. I'm from Atlanta, but live in Fort Myers, Florida. I'm very happy to be here with you. We want to encourage everyone, even if you don't think you have any damage, go ahead and register by calling the 1-800-621-FEMA. That's 1-800-621-3362. When you talk to the people on the phone, they're going to ask you some questions, basic information, your name as it appears on your Social Security card, not your nickname, the name that appears on your Social Security card. The address where your damage occurred. We need a good telephone number to get in touch with you. Also, if you're not receiving mail at the place where you had your damage, let us know where we can send you a letter. In about 3 days after that you register with FEMA, you're going to get a call from a property inspector, and they're going to make an appointment with you to come out and look at your rental dwelling, whether you're a renter in a house or an apartment, or you own your own house. They're not going to be there very long, but they're professionals. They know what to look for. But go ahead and point out any damage that you think you may have. Keep a list of everything and just point it out to them. They're also going to want you to prove that you live there. You'll have to show a utility bill, a rental agreement, or mortgage paper, just something that has your name and that address on it. They don't make a decision there. They send the information back to FEMA through a handheld computer. 5 to 7 days, you may already have funds that you may be getting from FEMA. These are grants that you don't have to repay, deposited directly into your bank account. On that initial phone call, FEMA will ask for your routing number and your bank account number. You're initiating that call. It's not some stranger that's calling you and says, give me your personal information and where you bank. If anybody does that, hang up, it's not us. So in about 7 to 10 days, you may have grant money deposited into your account. But in the meantime, you may get a letter from FEMA stating how much that you may be approved for. Or you get a letter that says that you're denied. Well, it may be that you've gone by Billy Bob all your life and you've forgotten that your name was William Robert. So that will send up a red flag, spit it out. You may also have not provided FEMA with a copy of the letter from your insurance company. And you don't have to be insured, you can be underinsured, insured, etc. So if you have flood insurance or homeowners insurance or rental insurance, we're going to need to have a copy of their settlement or their denial. Easiest way to do that, just go down to a disaster recovery center and they'll take that information and send it in. Also, while you're at a disaster recovery center, if you're a renter, homeowner, or business owner, we want you to apply for an SBA loan. First thing you're going to say is, well, I'm not a business, or I don't want to share my information with the government. Well, the government already knows about it. Trust me. Okay. So go ahead and fill in the SBA loan application. It acts as a gatekeeper. Because if they feel that it's too much of a burden for you to repay a loan, then through the system they notify FEMA, and then it kind of opens the door for your consideration for other needs assistance grant money. Now, if you don't fill in that SBA loan application, it would be just like if you had some money laying on this table that was already going to be yours, but you didn't fill in that SBA loan application and get turned down for an SBA loan. So, we want you to register with FEMA, fill in that SBA loan application. The SBA folks are great. They can help you fill it in. They'll send it off for you. But now, if you haven't, if you're a renter, or homeowner, or business owner, and you get approved for a loan, the SBA is going to tell you all about their great low-interest loans, and that's about the best going in low interest. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to always check back with FEMA, that 1-800-621-FEMA. Need housing, if you have been living with your aunt, uncle, friend, dog, whatever, and you know, it's kind of got a little old. Call FEMA, tell them you're not back in your home, you might need transitional sheltering. We'll try to help you out.
Again, that's only if you were affected by the floods.
That's correct.
September 11th to September 30th.
That's correct. And the deadline again, November 14th. So,
My name is Alexandra McClurkin, I'm from Maryland, and what we do is basically what she just explained, but we go door to door throughout the communities. You know that you're busy, or you forgot, or whatever the situation is in your household. We literally go door to door. If you're not home, we leave literature. And then if you see us in the streets, we are there to answer any questions that you may have. If you need information in reference to your situation, after you register with FEMA, we can go into the computer systems right there at your home and check the information out for you if you would like. And then we also work with FEMA Corps, who assists, and she can explain what FEMA Corps is.
Hi, so my name is Alex Iwanek, and I'm with FEMA Corps. It's a partnership between AmeriCorps and FEMA, so we work side by side with the reservists. We're also part of DSA, so my team is here working with FEMA, knocking door to door, asking if people need to be registered, case updates, inquiries.
and you can register them.
Yes, you can register them.
Great. Good evening. My name is Janine Nyford. I'm a Hazard Mitigation Assistance Specialist with FEMA Region 8 out of Denver. What mitigation is, and hazard mitigation, is it's actions you can take to reduce or eliminate risk from hazards and their effects. Okay, primarily during the rebuilding process. So if you have any questions, please visit the DRC near you. And that's me.
Good evening. My name is Norm Ashford. I'm the insurance specialist for FEMA Region 8. And essentially, I'm going to be here tonight if there's anyone who has questions, but also I'm manning the call center. So if there's questions that come up related to flood insurance, I'm the guy who will try and help you. I have some handouts here tonight that have to do with rebuilding following a fire. And that's kind of the other hat that I wear. We find it so often following a disaster that this is repetitive events. It's like maybe we could build better, build stronger and safer. So I deal with that, with giving you ideas of how we can build safer so you're not impacted a second time. So I'd be glad to help with any questions anybody might have having to do with flood insurance or any kind of insurance.
There was we have a new fellow that showed up at our office today that I'm somewhat excited about, and I hope to interject him into your long-range, what do you call your long-range recovery meetings that you have scheduled. He's from our Federal Disaster Recovery Group, and his responsibility is to work with the community to reach out to other federal agencies to see what grants money is available. I think most of you by now realize that there's limitations to what FEMA can do, and there are pretty strict guidelines. But to have somebody that can reach out to these different federal agencies is a huge benefit that I think is going to benefit many communities throughout Colorado. And so, again, we'll shut up and we're here if anybody got any questions.
What I'm going to do now is I'm going to, before we adjourn the meeting, they're going to stick around so that people can talk to them. If you have any individual questions, please feel free to address those questions. I wanted to leave time because at 7:30 the Slash-Mills meeting will follow that. There's one last comment here.
Can we just have the SBA
Yes,
folks
please.
introduce themselves?
Come on up.
And let us know where they are also located?
Because there might be questions for you too.
Yeah.
I'll make it very brief. I just wanted to clarify a couple quick things. Of course, your group is focused on the Black Forest long-range recovery. So November 14th is a crucial date when we're talking about the Colorado flood and severe storms that happened from September 11th through the 30th. The Black Forest fire was an agency declaration by the SBA, and for small businesses and private nonprofits, so some of your folks, relatives, friends, neighbors, may still be feeling an economic impact from the Black Forest fire or the Manitou Springs flooding. This county of El Paso, and every county that touches El Paso County, I believe it's 7 counties that are considered contiguous counties, any small business owner, one-person business owner, a landlord that has a rental property and they've, due to the fire, as far as the Black Forest fire, or the Manitou Springs flood, are eligible still to apply for an economic injury disaster loan. The SBDC Small Business Development Center folks that are here are integrated in the community, and they'll work with folks on a one-to-one basis to help them look into that option. If it's working capital funds to survive a recovery period, and we can, with partnering with the SBDC, we're making those loans still available. So for the Black Forest fire, the deadline for those economic injury loans is into May of 2014. I don't want to confuse the dates because November 14th is a crucial date where most people are still grappling with. But I want to make sure everyone is aware that economic injury loans related to the Black Forest fire back in June is still open for economic injury. And for the Manitou Springs flooding, they're still open into late May for economic injury loans. So where the impact of what might have been due to a small business of any kind, that would determine what disaster they would fall under for economic injury. The other thing is the Printers Parkway location that was a disaster recovery center has been converted to a SBA-only disaster loan outreach center. So that location is still open if somebody's working through a flooding application, they want to help get information, close the loan. We're doing all of that still indefinitely at that location. FEMA folks, of course, the mission to register folks has been pretty much achieved in that region of the county, but SBA is still there with our personnel helping. So want to make sure everyone knew that. And I think that's it. And we are here, we'll be around if you have any questions. And of course, the SBDC has disaster team members specifically focused on disaster relief. So they'll work with you as well. So, and they're here in your community. They're the best kept secret as far as free consulting. How do I address all these different disasters? How does my business survive? They can really walk you through that kind of thing. So spread the word about the SBDC because that is a great organization and it's completely free services.
Thank you. And for the purposes of clarity, economic injury is defined as businesses that could have cash flowed a fixed expense that they no longer can as a result of the disaster. That's economic injury. It usually manifests itself over a period of time. That's why when you look at the actual expiration of the deadline, it's 9 months after, so that the business can capture the entirety of the time frame. And whereas physical damages, it's like getting unfortunately into a car wreck, you see, insurance comes in and goes from there. The second piece is, while the business owner is working out the details with the insurance company, all you got to do is look at the insurance policy, look for business interruption, if there is one, talk to your agent. While you're negotiating your settlement with them, you can still apply with the SBA, get your funds, have an assignment of insurance proceeds applied, which basically means if your damages are $200,000, insurance company comes in and says, here's 50, the SBA will make the net amount. But in the meantime, the entirety of the amount is granted to the business owner, and the insurance company pays down the debt as a result of it being made payable to the SBA and the owner. So all these specific details, working out with SBDC, please go into the Disaster Loan Center, as my colleague mentioned. We're public information officers. Sorry to see all of you folks go through all this in this beautiful country. First time here in Colorado. You guys are a beautiful country. Thanks for having us here.
And just to finalize that, just like was discussed by Sue Solomon here with FEMA, the process of these applications with us, there's no obligation to take a loan. There's no cost to apply for a loan. The loan can be dispersed. The borrower controls how much they need to get as fully recovered as they wish. So it's completely within their control, but it keeps an option open when it comes to the flooding, looking for potential further grant assistance from FEMA.
It's one of the steps of, we're federal partners, and it's the step to fully recover. So whether the folks are impacted by which disaster, regretfully, you guys have had your share here, but it's a process, and we want everyone to keep that option open, available to them. So if they do need it, they find out later they may need it more than they realized, it's still there. So that's where these, as Neil said, the deadlines are very crucial, because none of us here want anybody to lose the opportunity. Thank you very much.
Excellent. So two quick things before we adjourn. I just want to say thank you for, if you look at the support that we have here, thank you for coming out. I can just tell that you really care about your jobs in this community, and on behalf of the Board of County Commissioners and everybody on this recovery team, we really appreciate you helping and coming out and helping our citizens. And secondly, for the people in attendance, we really want to make sure that people are aware of this meeting. We have a monthly meeting. If you cannot attend, as you can see, all these meetings are videotaped, and you can access them online through our Black Forest, our webpage. So we are trying to get information out there for you guys. But again, I just want to make sure you understand that we're in this for the long haul. We're going to continue to have monthly meetings all the way up until the anniversary, and we will, we will recover. So I'm going to adjourn this meeting, and then I want to make sure that we have an opportunity to meet with representatives. Before we forget, go ahead. For our website, for this particular meeting is going to be on the El Paso County website, the www.bffassistance.com. There's also another website there, blackforesttogether.org, and they have a lot of information. And Crosses for Losses, do you have what's your web address? Or do you have it?
Crossesforlosses.org.
Great. So we're going to adjourn the meeting, and we're going to turn it over to if you have any other questions.